Oh, greetings once again from the LGR archive. I've got a laptop here that just arrived from the RePC folks, e-cyclers in Seattle or near there. Yeah, they reached out to see if I was interested in, come on, cool early 2000s laptop, it's wood grain. This is gonna be fun to mess around with, so let's take a closer look. So very much my style. Oh man. So yeah, this right here is, Inspiron 600M, looking pretty clean, but of course, the main thing is this wood grain top. It's a very reddish orange, but it is a wood grain kind of burled look. And yeah, this is something that Dell sold as an optional extra to swap out the cover and put a few different options on there. And yeah, this one still has the wood grain burl. Not my favorite wood grain texture, but hey, I will take it. It's really cool to see one of these. Because yeah, for the most part, as common as these Inspirons were, usually, that's so much bigger. Usually they just had this basic cover on there in a silver, but a number of them, like this one, the Inspiron 9100, which you might have seen on LGR before. This beast is very much the bigger brother to the 600M. They came out within a year of each other. They're very, very similar, and they both have this kind of lid that is meant to be swapped out. With this one though, if you saw my video years back, you'll know that that had some more interesting, very mid-2000s designs available in addition to the wood grain. Some serious Big Brother energy with that design. As I said, this is kind of what this is, a Big Brother of sorts. The design language is shared, but a lot of the parts are just bigger. And of course it cost like a couple grand more. Whereas the 600M was around $1,700, give or take a couple $100 in 2003 when it was starting to hit the market. Although the prices started a lot lower than that if you were to not go for everything that you could put in there. And yeah, this is here all thanks to RePC in Seattle. And July 7th, posted this and said, who doesn't love a cheesy wood grain Dell laptop? Paging LGR, we got your laptop here. And I'm like, holy crap. Well, then they reached out via email. So this came from Brandon at the Kent, Washington location of the RePC store, which it's a legendary place. I've wanted to go there for many, many years. I've bought multiple things from their eBay store over the years. I've seen Cathode Ray Dude go there a lot and other YouTubers. I really need to get back to Seattle and visit there. Anyway, that's where this was sourced from. The laptop itself is seemingly in great shape. Screen looks good. Booted up into a copy of Windows XP and it was no problem. Just have to wipe the drive before sending it out, of course. That makes sense. But for now, we have this really cool machine. It really does seem to be quite clean. Oh man, but yeah, look at that. Isn't that what you want everybody to see when you're set up in the coffee shop doing your work and like, man, look at my wood grain. It's kind of orangey red, but it's still nice. And yeah, while I was really interested in this mainly for this silly wood grain on top, I was actually really impressed when I got to looking at it just a bit more and being like, holy nuts, like just check out the port selection on the back. You can get a DVD and CD-RW combo, PCMCIA right there, infrared, your audio in and out. And then all of these, look at all this stuff that you can just easily upgrade and swap out and add on to. Like there's so much actually going on for such a relatively small little computer that it was just one of those nice reminders when I started looking at it again, like things sure have changed quite a bit in the past 25 years, 23 years, even compared to like this here. This is the 9100 that was the big beefy top end kind of thing. Even this doesn't have as many ports. I mean, it's got FireWire, more USB, and this, you get serial and VGA and full-size parallel S-video output, modem and Ethernet. Yes, DVI and FireWire, very nice for this kind of workstation, but this is really well equipped for what it is. All that to say that this is worth giving a little extra attention. It's in pretty good shape, but also needs a little bit of cleaning up externally, and inside I don't think has been touched at all. So I don't know what the cooling situation's like. I did find a power supply, which is good because this has a slightly odd connector, and also grabbed a handful of little extra goodies. So some things we might can try to do some upgrades with, like RAM, maybe the hard disk, maybe even Wi-Fi, I don't know. I know there's some things inside that are pretty interesting, so let's just get in there. And to open up and disassemble this thing, I'm using the E2 Ultra Precision Screwdriver from Fantic, this video's sponsor. I've used this on LGRs so many times now because, to be honest, it looks great on camera and is simply fun to use with that pop-out mechanism and the rotating case packing 50 bits, a pry bar, and ESD tweezers I utilize constantly. And also just its slim design and all the different things it comes with are perfect for a massive number of projects. The E2 Ultra is a precision tool delivering just the right amounts of adjustable torque that you dial in exactly how you need to avoid stripped screws or damaging fragile hardware like old laptops and computers I'm constantly showing on this channel. And then once I'm inside a machine, another huge issue is always dust, and that's where Fantic's B10 Pro Max electric air duster comes in. And I love this thing. It's been a constant companion since the day I got it. Dust and debris is endlessly annoying with retro hardware in particular, but using a vacuum on them risks static. Canned air is expensive and air compressors are big bulky things, so the B10 Pro Max is my go-to solution, being a USB-C rechargeable air duster powerful enough to blast dirty surfaces of all kinds with multiple modes ranging from gentle airflow to mega boost for maximum power. I use it every day around my bird feeders and outdoor furniture too because it's so incredibly effective for such a small size. And right now, Fantic has an Amazon sale that is live. Use my codes LGR-E2 Ultra and LGR-B10PM to unlock an 11% off discount for either device. Check the links in the description below and don't let dust or low-quality tools hold your projects back any longer. Alright, well that is pretty well torn down, at least to the degree that I wanted to, just to show a couple of things in here and of course check on stuff like the fan and cooling and this whole deal here, because you never know how those hold up over time. But yeah, main thing is I just wanted to show how very easy this is to work on. This really didn't take very long at all, and Dell has very good service manuals that are still available, and everything just fits together so neatly and easily with just a few simple little clips and screws here and there and very well designed end bits. I don't know, I just find this thing a pleasure to open up and look at. And also, for some of the more modular add-on kind of bits, for instance, this right here is for adding Bluetooth. So if you want Bluetooth in here, this one didn't come configured with it. It was an option, but you could also just buy the module and stick that right in there and you got Bluetooth. Or hey, if you're not happy with the processor that was in there, you can just straight up pull that out and put another one in. So it's just one screw right there and plops right in there. And you saw this is just 4 screws for that. And yeah, what's in here right now is SL7EG, which is a 1.6 gigahertz Pentium M725 single core. But yeah, you can see on their old website that it was available down to 1.4 gigahertz. So from that to 1.7, this is almost the top end one, but if I wanted to put a 1.7 in here, I could easily do that. Of course, all the different modular drive bays, which is what this was right here. You just do that and it pops out, pops back in. You don't have to take anything else apart. You can swap that out for different kinds of optical drives, floppy drive, and also a secondary battery. I think also another hard disk if you want to. And of course, RAM, very easy to swap on a lot of these laptops from back then, but this is no exception. I've got a couple of 256 meg modules that were in here, but I've got 2 1 gig modules, and this, as far as I know, is the maximum supported. Maxed out memory. What an exciting thing to do in 2026. And then if you're not happy with the Wi-Fi, you can swap this entire module out as well. This is a mini PCI slot, not PCI Express, PCI. Got a couple of antenna connectors right there, and those go into the chassis. But this module, you can actually just get another one of these. So yeah, this particular one, I believe it is only 2.4 gigahertz and up to 802.11g, but if you wanted to go to 802.11n or 5 gigahertz, then there are other ones you can just swap it out, as long as you get one that's compatible. Unfortunately, this one is not, they're pin compatible, they're just physically not though. This one's a little bit taller and a little bit thicker, and the connectors there are slightly different for the antennas. And even then, I mean, I guess technically you're not supposed to do that, because if you look in the manual, it specifically says, no, don't swap it out for a 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi module. Only a Dell person can do that. But yeah, one reason I wanted all this disassembled was to clean the CPU and make sure that the old thermal compound was, still doing its thing. And yeah, it was pretty dry and crusty and it didn't really seem great. So went ahead and cleaned that off. And of course, also cleaned the cooling assembly itself. Got some nice new thermal paste and put just the right amount on there, and then put that back together, which is made very simple. It's just 4 screws, and they are each numbered, so it tells you what order to tighten them down in to make sure that you don't damage anything. It couldn't be simpler. I love working on the inside of this thing. Yeah, may as well clean up the screen a little bit while it's apart like this, and that wood grain top, which is really easy to get off there. You just have a couple of little, tiny little openings for your finger. And there we go. It is starting to crack just a little bit, so I'm gonna be very careful with it. And you can see it's just the regular top there. It literally is just a cover. Nothing more involved than that. Amusingly, yeah, this is called Del-Benz Red Lava. I guess like a Mercedes-Benz type of thing is what they're going for in terms of the dashboard, but I mean, yeah, lava-esque, I guess. It just ends up looking like a wood grain burl. Again, like this style of Mercedes-Benz dash. That's gotta be what they're going for, right? I need another foot. So I've got the other 3. I think I have one that size. As for the hard disk, I'm just gonna keep it original for now. Though I was considering replacing this Toshiba 60 gig just with one of these modern adapters. It's the same dimensions and everything. You just take this little edge connector off and put it to the pins right there for the 2.5-inch IDE, and then that will take an mSATA SSD. A 64 gig there. This would definitely improve performance, but I'm just gonna use the OG hard disk for now. Let me see about that little rubber foot. Oh yeah. Probably this one, but yeah, this feels like the right thickness. Hey, something just arrived, I think, for the Inspiron. Oh yeah, that is the docking station port replicator thing. I think it adds more USB ports, PS2 ports, DVI. It was $7. I figured, why not? Oh yeah, that's gonna be perfect. Needs a slight trim, but the thickness and size otherwise is right. Oh yeah. Oh, that just slots right in there. Look at that. Why is that so satisfying? Oh yeah. Oh, it's beautiful. Fantastic. And yeah, with this port replicator like that, don't really have much of a use for it. It has all the ports I really want. DVI is kind of the nicest one, and I just wanted it because it was there. Oh yeah, and it has a SPDIF output for your audio. That's interesting too. I just like completing these sets when I can get them, you know, for cheap. And thankfully, Dell parts, they're really not that hard to come by relative to certain other brands from back in the day. Dells and IBMs, you know, your ThinkPads. Yeah, let me just test this really quick to see if everything is working as it should. Oh, heck yeah, wonderful. So 2 gigs, 333 megahertz, and everything else is looking wonderful. Yes, you can see the secondary battery there if we were to have one of those installed in that bay. Another thing that's interesting about this, there is a reserve battery in here, which is in addition to the main battery and in addition to the CMOS battery. Because we have the time and date right there. That's still set even after taking it all completely apart. And that's because there's a little button cell battery on the motherboard. In fact, you could see it earlier when we had it apart. It's a little purple ringed thing. It is soldered in, which is kind of annoying. But it also has this reserve battery, which is inside the battery bay for the main battery. And I don't actually know what it's for, because it's not in here. See, like it would go right there, and it's just a couple little pins, and I think it's a few button cells that are just encased and it connects there. It doesn't actually say what it is for because, like I said, there's a CMOS battery already in there, and then the main battery is already in there. Like, what's the reserve battery for? Maybe it's for like swapping this battery out and keeping it on for a second while you swap batteries, but I don't exactly know. The manual doesn't say. All it says is, yeah, there's a reserve battery. You can put one in or swap it out this way, and that's all it says. So yeah, my guess is just that you can swap batteries out and not have to turn off the computer as long as you do it quickly enough. Yeah, let's get back to some factory fresh Windows. provided I got the right version. Yeah, the way Dell typically does it, at least back then, was the drivers, the software, applications, things like that. Those were all very specific to each system, but the operating system, they just kind of released different OS disks that were fitting for all kinds of different computers that they sold, updated them maybe a couple times a year. So I just grabbed the one that seemed to be the closest to when this came out, which was the very end of 2003. So far, so good. What is that? Product catalogs. What? So everything went fine other than that one little error in terms of what's actually on here with the drivers. Yeah, it's needing a bunch of things, but that's what the other disc is for. So let's go ahead and do that. Dell Resource CD. Hopefully it just does all that it needs to, and that'll be that. So I guess it's saying what we do and don't have installed. There's a lot of things that aren't. Do I have to go through and do these individually? I really don't want to. Yeah, it kind of looks like I'm gonna have to. Oh well. I mean, it's still nice that it lays everything out here in a convenient web page kind of thing, but well, I guess I'll be back whenever this is done. Well, all right. Everything seems to be great. And I did indeed spend a couple or few hours yesterday getting all the stuff put on here back as it should, and restored all the things that made sense to do so. Windows XP Home Edition SP1A, the ATI Mobility Radeon. That's about the only set of drivers that I didn't go with from the original Restore Media because they were out of date and pretty minimal. So I grabbed the newest ones that Dell had available on their website. Yeah, they are still on the website for the Mobility Radeon. 32 megs in this case. And yeah, I put pretty much all the software on here that made sense. You know, I didn't bother putting like ISPs or McAfee virus scan crap like that, but I did put things like Music Match Jukebox. So that originally came with this, and you know.
Get more from your jukebox with Music Match Jukebox Plus. Create CDs faster, print custom CD covers and labels, volume level all your MP3s, and automatically tag all your tracks. Just click on the media window.
I was very much a Winamp person back in the day, and still am, typically. But yeah, I just felt like going with OEM stuff here. Also came with Real One Player. I barely remember this version of it. Mostly remember the earlier ones. Yeah, internet radio, different channels you could tune into for various online content, and of course, ripping and recording things, putting stuff to your MP3 player. But I mostly remember enjoying the internet radio and yeah, these channels whenever I was able to get a connection that was half decent enough to stream them. Oh yeah, I also put a Power DVD on here, which I had a Dell OEM version of it because otherwise it can't actually play DVD movies unless you have something like this that installs the correct codecs. So I can go with the super cool edition of Ice Age here. And which disc actually has the other, like there's DVD-ROM features on here too. Yeah, that's on disc 2, which I showed some of that in my recent DVD-ROM extras video. Those only work on PC, but just the regular DVD side we can take a look at right now. Yeah, this is just peak 2003 laptop usage. Oh, I loved having the ability to have a computer that also played DVDs. The first one we had that did that, it was a Toshiba Satellite, and around the same time, 2003. And yeah, it was just, oh man, it was great because it was the only DVD player we had when I left the country for a bit, and that was our DVD player. All right. Oh yeah, widescreen or full screen? I'm gonna do full screen. We've got the right screen for it. And then also there's DVD-ROM extras, which are very much designed for a computer like this. Yeah, you get Super Dodo Ball, these printable things from the movie, and you can play the Sid Shreds 3D freestyle snowboarding game. Go with the wood board. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of very simplistic tricks sort of thing. Yeah. Not exactly SSX, but it'll work, I guess. That's enough of that. I'm gonna plug in a mouse here, a proper one, and try out some games, Quake 3 being the first thing I tested out on here. And while 1024-768 is the native resolution of this screen, I found so far that 800 by 600 is typically going to be like the sweet spot, especially if you're running in 32-bit color and textures like we are here. It's pretty good. Dang right I have. I got a Dell, dude. Yeah, I don't have the frame rate showing. I should, but it feels pretty darn good to me. And like I said, I think it looks great at 800 by 600 on this panel. Yeah, zero complaints in terms of like what I would have been happy with back in the day. And honestly, right now, it feels quite good. Let me see if I can get the frame rate showing though. Oh yeah, 90 some FPS. Let's see what we get when we take it up to max res. Or native res in this case. Yeah, still doing pretty good. Dipping down a little bit here and there, but yeah. Perfectly fine, but it is Quake 3. I mean, you know, this is, what, 5-year-old game? 4-year-old game at this point? So late 90s stuff is going to be great on here. For the most part. Results have been interesting. Like Midtown Madness 2 here, which is 1999. You can see the graphic settings we have it going on with right here. Just kind of the default. I really need to install Fraps on here or something to get the frame ratio on the rest of these games, but anyway, yeah, you can see it's not exactly running at the full frame rate. I mean, it's fine, perfectly playable, but for a game from 99, I would kind of expect more. And the reason I crash so much in these when I'm testing them is because I'm trying to get it to chug a little. Everybody always says, wow, you can't drive for shit. And it's like, that's not what the point of these tests are, is to push it and see what happens. I really need to install Fraps. Oh yeah. Custom wallpaper, because I felt like it.
Get ready to take a cruise through San Francisco.
Oh, I'm ready. So yeah, it can see it's just wildly varying in terms of the frame rate up there. In the mid-20s here, and any kind of traffic around and smashing into things. Madness in the Midtown. And you know, it's not something that I would have been complaining about back in the day, for sure, especially on a laptop. Holy crap. Take things down though, mainly the cloud shadows. Like, look at that. That alone puts the FPS to such a more reasonable rate. There we go. Now, obviously, it's dropping like crazy still. You end up with particle effects in particular. They start just completely killing the frame rate. That's one reason I like to test this game. It's always interesting if you can avoid that, right? But sometimes you just end up with either 30 or 60, and it kind of tries to lock either way. But let's try something else here. So we've got GTA 3. All right, so we've got 800 by 600, 32-bit frame limiter and sync are on kind of halfway with the draw distance. And we do have the limiter on, so it's going to be at 30 FPS max. But once we get into the game, you'll see that that's actually a good choice for this in particular. Yeah. Yeah. Got some issues. This loading things. SSD, I believe, would help that. One would hope. But yeah. Other than when it's loading in extra chunks like that, it's pretty darn playable for the time. Once again, I would have been not having any complaints about this kind of performance on the laptop. Well, this is not so great. Not exactly sure if this will help at all, but well, let's just take it all the way down. Oh, God.
I gotta get this real. DJ, let's go. Let's go around the back and use the service joint.
Yeah. I know this is pushing it a bit, but that's why I wanted to try it out. It definitely seems that going without the draw distance is the way to go. And of course, we can improve things a bit more by going down to like 640, 480, and 16-bit. But yeah, not bad. Am I still alive? It's a miracle. Well, what else we got in here to try? Oh yeah, Max Payne. This is an odd one. It should work for all intents and purposes. Don't see any reason why not. It's just the default settings. Get a little thunder out there. But yeah, it doesn't matter because for some reason it will not get past the loading screen no matter what settings I use. I've tried reinstalling it and lowering settings, changing the renderer. It just doesn't matter. It works on all kinds of other machines that are significantly less capable than this. Jeez. But what else do we have? Oh yeah, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2. Much as I want to continue playing that, dang copyrights. Yeah, let's just do a single race here. And there's default settings, 800 by 600, 32-bit. Almost maxed out except for world detail. Oh no. Oh, the full grid. Ooh, that's not good. Let's just stop here for a bit and let everybody get out of the way. From what I remember, yeah, I remember having this being a thing back in the day. Yeah, look at that. Once everybody's out of the general vicinity, it's kind of great.
28 County, traffic stop.
Copy 28.
Yeah, I remember turning off the full grid quite a lot because it was just too much, especially once you start getting like police and all the traffic and everything else going. Oh my word, oh gosh. So let's try that without all of the things turned on and quite so many opponents. Here we go. Nice. Yep, that's the way to do it. Yeah. Jaguar, you ain't gonna get me. Now I have a frame rate. You know, I thought there was a shortcut there. I guess not on this map configuration. Oh yeah. I win.
You win!
I do. And let's keep the good times going. It's my idea of fun, at least. So we have those outputs on the back, right, for VGA and S-Video, and I figured, well, why not just connect some different monitors and mess around with that, because I haven't done that in a long time with a laptop. So if we want to, we can go to this one over here and duplicate the display through S-Video on that one, or we can go to the VGA one over there and duplicate it over there. Or of course we can extend the display out to the other side like that. And unfortunately we can only do one at a time, so you can get either this one and this one, or this one and this one. Really, I mean, I guess I'm just trying to say you can do two at a time. That's the max that it can do. So if you want just both the external displays, you can do that. So that is what this can do in terms of external monitors. It can't do 3, I wish it could. And no, the port replicator doesn't change that, even though it does have more outputs. It's still just gonna be limited to 2 because of the GPU. That said, there's still something really amusing about this to me. I don't know why. I guess I don't do it often enough for it to feel commonplace. Certainly did it back in the day though. Made use of connecting a laptop or even a desktop with S-video output to the living room TV. And yes, Duke 3D is a DOS game, but we've got DOSBox here in Windows XP, so give that a shot. I don't expect it to be particularly well performing on this system, the processor and all that, but we'll see. Oh yeah, already getting a bit of slowdown and skipping and such. Oh yeah. DOSBox with build games and early 2000s hardware. Not a great combination. But man, it looks cool on these dual monitors. Jeez. Yeah, so that's a little rough. I might be able to get a little better here and there with certain settings changed around, but yeah, I don't have any real big point here except that I just like this experience, particularly with things like movies and stuff. Oh, it's great. Oh, it's another day and another package of Inspiron 600M goodies have just showed up. Can you tell? I'm really having fun with this. But yeah, this is from partspeople.com, a long-time supplier of, well, parts, and in particular those for Dell laptops. And they have so much good stuff still available. Look at all this, and for good prices. So yeah, I got me some more covers as well as some other goodies, some items that I'm sure I mentioned sometime earlier in the video. This is another processor, another Pentium M. This is the 1.7 gigahertz version, so if I wanted to, I could upgrade this thing with this other processor, and this is the maximum that, well, Dell offered, at least. I think it could go up to like 2.1 gigahertz, but it's not really recommended due to the cooling and such. So, and yeah, this right here, I was really wanting just for general usage of this system going forward. This is a Dell floppy drive module, and yeah, it allows me to swap that optical drive for a 3.5-inch floppy. And what's really cool about these is it also works as a standalone USB floppy drive. So you just plug in the USB cable right there and into any computer, modern or otherwise, and there you go, you got a floppy drive that also works externally. Yeah, and then there's this here, the 4P124. It's mentioned it's for the Latitude D series. I don't know if it'll work for this one or not, but yeah, it goes in the same slot, and it allows you to add another hard disk. I believe it might work with this. I don't know for sure though. Anyway, something to try at some point. And then last but not least, have some fresh back covers to swap out if we want. So there's the blue one, and that looks fantastic. Classic blue, matches the keyboard trim and everything. And then this one I picked up before I'd taken apart the whole thing. I wasn't sure about the condition of the original cover assembly and everything, but yeah, this is the whole thing, but just new old stock. So it's got these bits that go down in there, and then you could put the screen on there, and then that is the original lid. But you know, the one that's on there is fantastic shape. But yeah, if I need a new old stock one, there it is. And again, like, it was only $14.95. Sadly, they were all out of the lava or burled wood grain. Else I would have gotten one of those, because this one is cracked and, you know, seen better days. But yeah, it's still really good shape. I'm just happy that there's websites that have all this stuff still available. All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and call it here for the Dell Inspiron 600M, at least for now. I mean, I've gotta cut myself off at some point. I've just been having a lot of fun with this thing over the past week or so. Seriously, every day, just messing around with different things and getting it all fixed up and upgraded. And it's just a nifty little thing from the early 2000s with a surprising amount of practicality to it. And you know what? I think it would probably be even better with Windows 98 SE. Presuming all the drivers are available for it, it still would not be ideal for MS-DOS games because of the sound chip, this Sigmatel C Major. I don't know, maybe there are some drivers for it that give it more legacy support. Regardless though, I've been enjoying this very much for what it is. And a big thanks to RePC once again for sending it my way, keeping me in mind with the wood grain. I mean, that's genuinely all that I wanted this for, was like, oh, hey, cool, laptop with a wood grain cover. And then I just keep looking into it and keep going deeper. And man, it's just one of those things that happens here. So I hope you enjoyed this look at the 600M. And yeah, let me know if you had one of these back in the day, what you got it for. Was it school or work or just personal use? And please feel free to stick around for other LGR things that are always in the works here on this channel. And as always, thanks for watching.